Welcome to another video. This is Sri Lanka, an independent island nation off the southern coast of India with a population of about 22 million people. Not long ago, Sri Lanka was hailed as South Asia's most developed country. But today, it's facing one of the most severe economic collapses in its history, a national crisis that left people desperate, angry, and in search of answers. The numbers are staggering. The nation is over $51 billion in external debt. Inflation has spiraled out of control, with unofficial estimates from Johns Hopkins University placing it at over 130% by March 2022. Rolling blackouts have become part of daily life. Food, medicine, and fuel are in dangerously short supply. In some schools, even exams had to be canceled due to a shortage of printing paper. As basic commodities became luxuries, the people of Sri Lanka reached a breaking point. Protesters took to the streets. The homes of politicians were set on fire. The prime minister was forced to flee to a naval base for his own safety. Even the presidential residence wasn't spared. Demonstrators stormed the palace, swam in the president's pool, cooked in his kitchen, and sat in his lounge chairs as if to reclaim ownership of their nation. So how did things fall apart so catastrophically? To understand this, we have to look at the Rajapaksa family, a political dynasty that's played an outsized role in the fate of Sri Lanka. Mahinda Rajapaksa, one of 9 children from a prominent family rooted in rice and coconut farming, became president in 2005. His brother Gotabaya, a former military officer, was appointed defense secretary. Other brothers, sons, cousins, and even in-laws were awarded top positions in the government. For years, the country ran like a family business. And, to many Sri Lankans, that wasn't necessarily a bad thing at first. Under their leadership, Sri Lanka experienced rapid development. Lavish infrastructure projects, many funded by Chinese loans, sprang up across the nation. Roads, ports, and airports were built. Between 2006 and 2014, GDP per capita more than doubled, and more than 1.5 million people were lifted out of poverty. But beneath this rapid growth was a foundation built on unsustainable foreign debt. By 2012, Sri Lanka's external debt had tripled. Huge loans were taken to fund mega projects that often failed to deliver economic returns. One example is the Hambantota Airport, constructed with Chinese support. Today, it sits largely empty, a monument to poor planning and excess. Things took a sharper turn in 2019. Gotabaya Rajapaksa, riding a wave of popularity and military credentials, was elected president. His campaign promised prosperity and stability. But upon taking office, he announced massive tax cuts. These slashed government revenue by as much as 25%, worsening the fiscal deficit. Meanwhile, public debt kept mounting. Then came 2020. The COVID-19 pandemic halted tourism, a cornerstone of Sri Lanka's economy. Beaches and hotels that once attracted millions of visitors from Russia, Ukraine, and Europe fell silent. With tourism earnings drying up, the country's ability to repay its debt began to crumble. In 2021, the government made one of its most controversial decisions yet: a sudden nationwide ban on chemical fertilizers. The goal was to make Sri Lanka the world's first fully organic farming nation. But with no transition plan, farmers were left in the dark. Crop yields plummeted. The country had to import food it used to produce, further straining its foreign reserves. Rubber and tea, key exports, also suffered, deepening the crisis. By early 2022, Sri Lanka's foreign currency reserves had dropped from $7.6 billion in 2019 to just $50 million. That meant the government could no longer import fuel, medicine, or basic goods. In June 2022, the country suspended fuel sales entirely, except for emergencies. For a whole day, there was literally no fuel to buy. Long lines at gas stations became a symbol of national despair. One rickshaw driver even died of heat stroke waiting in line. Inflation became unbearable. The price of cooking gas tripled. Bread became unaffordable. Even paper became so scarce that schools began closing. On March 7, 2022, the Sri Lankan rupee posted its steepest one-day drop in over 40 years. Eventually, the economic pressure turned into political chaos. Protesters surrounded government buildings. The president's whereabouts became a mystery as he tried to flee the country. Eventually, he was spotted at the airport attempting to board a flight to Dubai. By July 2022, the unthinkable happened. The people had stormed the president's residence. Some swam in the pool, others cooked meals in the kitchen. A piano sing-along even broke out in one of the rooms, an eerie yet poignant symbol of rebellion and reclaiming lost dignity. Even members of the Sri Lankan military began siding with protesters. For the Rajapaksa family, once hailed as war heroes for ending a brutal civil war, this was a dramatic fall from grace. In the following weeks, Gotabaya Rajapaksa formally resigned. Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe assumed the presidency, but his government inherited a country in ruins. To avoid complete economic collapse, Sri Lanka turned to the International Monetary Fund for help. In March 2023, a $3 billion bailout was approved. The government also reached out to other countries, China, India, Japan, the US, seeking restructuring of bilateral debts and emergency aid. China, which is owed $6.5 billion by Sri Lanka, agreed to a temporary currency swap to help replenish reserves. Meanwhile, India extended a $1 billion credit line to help with essential imports. But many of these agreements came with strict conditions: tax hikes, spending cuts, and raised interest rates. Measures that, while necessary, risk worsening the cost of living crisis for ordinary Sri Lankans. The road ahead is uncertain. A stable government is critical to negotiate long-term economic recovery and avoid further unrest. But trust in leadership is deeply fractured. Sri Lanka's crisis is not just a story of mismanaged policy. It's a cautionary tale of unchecked power, short-term populism, and ignoring economic fundamentals. It's a reminder that even promising nations can falter, quickly and catastrophically, when governance fails. No citizen should have to experience what the people of Sri Lanka have endured. And as this crisis continues to unfold, the world should pay attention. Thank you for watching. See you next time.